first and foremost, for all of you, you probably already know my name is Don. Um, I'm the host here of the Streets of Talking podcast, and I'm joined by my co-host Clarence in the corner
How's everybody doing?
with his
Hey,
GQ sweat,
Clarence.
GQ sweat on.
That's nice.
Thank you, thank you.
Um,
How you doing, Tracy?
oh, Tracy,
Hey,
you muted.
Diane.
Oh, there you go. There you go, Tracy.
Mm.
There you go. Now you can.
I'm good, Clarence. I love your sweater.
Oh, thank you, thank
You're
you.
looking fly.
I try.
Now what I want to do is we got Derek Robinson, who is a new guy. He's a friend of mine from Vegas. Tracy actually has an insurance agency in Vegas. Derek, she's in Alaska. And hold on, let me unmute you. I've been trying to get Derek on for a couple of weeks. Hold on, let me unmute him.
There we go.
Yeah, so I've been trying to get him on for a minute. And so why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Derek?
Okay, I appreciate being a part of this platform. Living here in Vegas, I worked with Don in the past on a project through a Finley Auto Group that I used to work for, new business development. My specialty is I've become masterful at inviting people to do business with the dealership. And this is something that's become very much second nature for me, comfortable. But in any event, I've kind of parlayed that over into some other interests in my life. Hobbies, I play golf. I do so if you're ever in Vegas and you're feeling brave and you want to do some golf in 100-degree weather, bring your clubs with you. But outside of that, I just, good brother,
I can't hear him.
good brother, got my dog, and just we having really good life, just a good life, and that's pretty much it. And I'm just glad to have some dialogue. Let me tell you that.
Definitely. Well, we're glad to have you here, and we'll have some more people introduce themselves as they come on. Now, our vision for this show for Clarence and myself has changed each week as we try to. We got Sonya joining us now. Where's Sonya at? Sonya, we see you. See that famous picture of Sonya? She always incognito. Let's see where she at. Sonya, you there? Sonya is there. She gonna join in a minute somehow. But there she is. How you doing, Sonya? She not in yet. So, but basically, the vision for the show is to give people a platform to talk about the issues that are affecting all of us. And in the last few weeks, there's been a lot of conversation on the podcast consumed with the coronavirus, and that still is the number one issue that we all are dealing with, one way or the other. Hasn't changed. Circumstances have changed a little bit, but the situation really hasn't changed. But this week we had some disturbing racial things that have been brought to the forefront of all the discussions, and that is the racial injustice for the African American community. And we will talk about the videos that have surfaced that make very strong statements. The just recent, it looks like they're getting ready to arrest, if they haven't already, a third person in the killing of the jogger. Also, this week, Vice President Biden put out a plan called Lift Every Voice, the plan for Black America. We're going to try to dissect that plan, find out what really needs to be done in the Black community, and will it get done? Because a lot of times politicians, they make a lot of promises to the Black community that never sometimes end up getting done, but they get elected over and over and over again. So what can we believe? Tonight promises to be another good discussion with opinions and questions and statements from all around the country. This is a discussion that we need to have. So, my goal is by the end of the night, we come up with a few solutions to move toward the beginning of change. So before I go introduce Clarence, I want to say pretty much we want everybody to voice their opinion. We have a couple house rules where there's no extreme foul language. We don't want to, just be that type of platform. There's no personal attacks on people during the conversation, meaning more so I'm talking about outside people. So, this is not the platform to go on a rant about somebody. Let's just talk. Let's just have an intellectual discussion in regards to that. Outside of that, everything else goes. We encourage you to say your opinion. If you have an immediate comment, you can press the raise hand button, which you should see at the bottom of your screen somewhere. Otherwise, throughout the show, I may call on you for an opinion about the topic to kind of keep things moving. Please be conscious of your background noise. If you got people or you got something going on in the background, just mute your mic. Without further ado, enjoy the night. Clarence, you can take it away with our first topic.
Well, first of all, I'd just like to thank everybody once again for being a part of the Streets Are Talking. You guys could have done anything else today, but you did take some time out to be here with us. And I just want to say thank you. We're just going to jump right into it. The jogger that was killed in Georgia. Has everyone seen the video, or is everyone aware of the situation? I'm pretty sure everyone
pretty
is.
much everybody's probably
Everybody's pretty much aware. Once I watched it, it almost took me for a loop. It totally had my day just in disbelief. It is, I don't know if you would call it good news. I guess it is a little bit of partial good news. The two men were actually arrested. They are currently locked up. We'll see what's going to happen with as far as the grand jury. But just curious to get everybody else's thoughts on it. It's definitely not over. We have seen this situation play out before, and we as a people were kind of on the wrong end of the stick. In other words, justice wasn't served. So the question is, will justice be served? And just how do you guys really feel about this incident? It really, for me, it left me speechless. It truly did. I mean, I know a lot of people that go out, work out, run, do things that you normally do, and just to have a situation like that present itself and someone lose their life, I'm speechless, guys. I really am. So
Derek, I see you shaking your head. You can start us off. You're the fresh new kid on the block. Tell us what your thoughts are about that.
Yeah, this struck me as being so disheartening, and it's a reality. One, it's a sad reality that we have to deal with as a people. That our conscience is always about, how we have to stay on guard, just when we're doing things that the other cultures consider normal. But in our, and it's severely alarming to me. Nothing new under the sun. I mean, you thinking history is moving on, and we're establishing credibility as we go. But as you can see, some of these backwoods folks, they're never going to evolve. And it's the painful part of it is all the time that's passed over 200 and 300 years, nothing looks different than it did 200 years ago in that video. My heart bleeds for that situation. And that could be any one of us. It's every man's story. I mean, brother didn't really have to say much. He was out for a leisure jog, but that's my take on it. I'm still kind of like sorting through my feedback on what I felt. Maybe on the next in the next few minutes, I'll have a few more things for you. But it's just people, man.
Yeah, here's something that I think Tracy is. Let me grab Tracy real quick. Tracy. Where's Tracy at? Uh, hey, Clarence, go ahead. I'm having some technical difficulties real quick. Go ahead and take
Okay.
over for a second.
Well, pretty much this, and shoot, Cal, how do you feel about the situation? The situation, the young man pretty much doing a normal run, and his life just ended. Like the fight, then the shot.
Uh, I've been pretty angry, very disappointed, and I had to really take a look at the children, the people, myself, you, family, just looking at the perspective that you go for a run and it turns into you being hunted and just how they are how the system works. I don't know if you ever watched Dateline, but if you pay attention to Dateline, they are always slow at arresting white males. Even in Dateline, they didn't have them in the court. They didn't have them. They're very, very slow at arresting white males. And then I learned some more information. When we are voting, we have the right to vote for prosecutors and everything. And a lot of times we don't really pay those things attention when we're voting. And so that's something that we're gonna have to really do in our voting, being strategic in our voting and knowing who we are putting in office as district attorneys and everything else, because the very thing can happen anywhere. But like you guys were talking about, in the South, regardless to law, they still think it's 1965 to some of them. And to see you having this freedom when they've been indoctrinated in hate, it just came out. And the other part, Clarence, that I really take issue with, and I don't want to really go there, but we talk about valuing us as a culture, and valuing each other is so important that we begin to put our value on display for each other, because the more it seems like the more you show the system that we don't love each other, the more they could care less and have been conditioned to care less. And so it's been a hard week. I haven't really posted or even really been on Facebook. I've just been, working, me and my wife, and just really trying to stay away, because honestly, it'll make you angry and responsive and reactionary. And the position that we're in, we can't necessarily be reactionary because we teaching other kids how to respond to tough situations. So it's very, very sad. It's very, very sad. And it didn't stop there. Like
No.
Minnesota, Indiana.
Yeah.
So we got a new guest, Ty Roberts. How you doing, Ty? Ty Roberts. Can you hear us? Ty Roberts.
Hi, I'm here.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Good. Where you reaching out to us from?
Across the way from Tracy Parish in Anchorage, Alaska.
Oh, you're in Alaska. We got 2 Alaskan people there.
Yeah, we work together.
Oh, what's the weather? What's the weather like in Alaska?
Right now it's 51 degrees and maybe a little cloudy.
Okay.
Still light outside.
It's gonna be light all day, right?
It's gonna be light for a long time.
Oh man.
Wow.
Man. So well, we definitely are glad to have you on the show. And real quick, what's some of your thoughts about or how is the image, everything portrayed in Alaska? Because Alaska sometimes seems to be so far away that I don't know how the images and things are being portrayed there. Give us an idea.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, well first, my name is Ty Roberts. Hey everybody. And I am an insurance agent in Alaska, and I'm also a doula in the state of Alaska. So I help women during pregnancy and labor and birth. So that's my passion job. That's what I love to do. Probably one of the only one of us up here that does that type of work, and I'm very excited about that. I'm very pleased about that. As far as what's going on in the community and the nation or whatnot, what just happened down in Georgia, we might be far away, but we're not far away, if that makes sense. We still represent up here, and it's very tragic. I have a 13-year-old Black son, so of course, as a mom, there's some worry in there, and it's just sad that it's just now getting recognized or acknowledged, but it's been going on for ages, and the fact that it was reinforced by the people for all this stuff to happen and to come into place is sad that it has to be this way. But that's the reality that we're living in right now. So it's just saddening, but then it also makes you recognize strength in numbers as well, and what we have to be training our children on, how to speak, what to say, even though as a person of color or minority, it might not save your life like that, but as long as we're trying our best to educate and to train people on how to react, how to govern their emotions, maybe things like that. But it's just sad and saddens me, but it makes me want to do more.
Okay. Carla, you got a question, statement?
I have a 23-year-old, non-intimidating looking Black son, just as though that young man Ahmad, and he lives in a neighborhood where he lives in a predominantly white neighborhood. He started swimming and playing water polo in the 6th grade, and that has been his world. So unfortunately for me, I carry that word with me on a regular basis, because many of the places that he could be potentially one of few Black men. And I know that if anything goes down, it's always going to be his fault no matter what.
Right.
So when I saw that, it's very heartbreaking. And to me, only so much we as a people are gonna just take sitting down. It's like everybody was jumping up and down. Hey, they got arrested, but Michael Flynn walked out of jail yesterday.
Thank you.
Or walked out of whatever. He walked out of something that he should have been in jail for. So before we know it, Donald Trump will be exonerating these men. And it's just really, it's this right here in the middle of a pandemic, and I always say that, it's just, what? Are you serious? You people have got time, and I'm saying you people, and I mean you people, have taken the time to go and hunt somebody, because that video showed exactly what that was. They hunted him, and they got caught not because they saw the video, but because we saw the video. So let's just see what happens, and how all of this ends up.
Well,
Go ahead, Clarence. Go ahead, Clarence.
The thing about it, like, honestly, yeah, we saw the video, but this happened in February. It is now May. So these people have been walking around knowing they've taken someone out, and they're walking around free, and the police department knows because they had the video. So it's just like, when and where does it stop? I mean, when and where? Like this young man was just having a run, being followed. Someone yells at him, and then the thing for me, once I hear people react about it, it's like, well, he should have complied. Complied to who? Complied to what? If I'm out walking, running, and I see two gentlemen in the road with firearms, I was always taught run away from trouble. Run away from the trouble. Don't run to it. And he runs away and a shot rings out. So at this point, it's total survival mode. Total survival mode. And we all saw the video, and it's just like now he's being painted like he was this bad person, and he's the victim. It's just whew.
Now, Gracie, I know you are the smartest one in the room. You've seen more than anybody in the room. What I mean, having seen years of, we're gonna just call it this type of activity. What was your thoughts on just kind of what happened?
Well, to me, it's nothing new. When Clarence called and we talked about it, you know, I told him, let's see what's going to happen. Because I really didn't expect them to arrest the two white men, because they normally don't. And if they do, what's going to take place? It's going to be like another Trayvon Martin, where, you know, they had the right to do it. But this been going on. I am soon will be 73. To me, this is nothing new under, as they say, nothing new under the sun. It's been going on my lifetime. You know, I came up in the South until I was 12 years old. I saw the Ku Klux Klans riding down the highway on Friday and Saturday night. You know, and we was taught you had to say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. So it's still the same. They still have that mentality. And it's not just in the South. We just not gonna point to the South. It's over the whole United States. It might be hid a little bit in the North, but it's still taking place. Because you can look at what happened in Lansing a week or so ago. Privilege. And like I asked my son, okay, we saying we're surprised. We'll march for a while, but what comes after that? How long are we just going to march? We just going to talk? What can be done about it? Just talking about it is not solving the issue.
And you know what? I'm so glad you said that. I know, you know, because you're from Alabama, right?
I'm from Alabama.
Right.
And you know, I have concerns because I have two grandsons. And you know, I have concerns about them because they are biracial, you know, so not just them, but all Black young men. This is something we as Black people have to face each and every day. Even my son, he might leave, go to the store, and not come back. Because believe me, we as Black people, the other race don't care anything about us. Because sometimes we don't, and most of the time, we don't care about one another. But that doesn't give anybody the right to take your life. You know, we call each other the N-word. Then we get mad when the other race calls us that. But we have to learn to have respect for ourselves.
Diane, you have a question?
Yes, asking on behalf of Chris, she said, what should we do then? What's the next step?
Well, let's go back to Miss Gracie. She's the one that's seen this longer than anybody on this call. What would you think, just looking at the totality of the whole situation from back when you were younger until the present day, what would you say are some things that can be done? Or like me, sometimes I feel like that is not going to be done in our lifetime. That's how I feel. Go ahead, Miss Gracie.
I I feel kind of like that too. Sometimes I believe I really believe in the word of God, and like I was telling my son, as strong as my belief in the Lord, but when something like this comes up, it stirs up something in me, and I really have to pray real hard to ask the Holy Spirit that they keep my spirit in the right place. But I don't know if because I think as long as the earth exists as it is, this going to continue to repeat itself. I think what we can do is get out and vote and know who we're voting for. Maybe that's one thing. And to me, really, truly, I don't know what we can do other than maybe voting and try to be aware of what's going on. Because if you retaliate, what is that going to solve? Make the issue worse than what it is. But not saying you don't want to retaliate, because yes, sometimes I want to retaliate.
Well, go ahead, Derek.
So that's a really good statement. And for the group, this is something to consider. I kind of think in some unorthodox ways. We're living in a time right now where we have to think about what people resort to for valuable information. And my thought was this: when the lady was speaking there, meeting the people where they're at, in my opinion, is like public service announcements, because a lot of these situations happen with regard to our existence and our credibility based on people not truly knowing, having an appreciation for who we are. That's the best way for me to put it, right? But the more and more that I get to know who you are, which is us, right, through something like, and I wish we could get a movement of public service announcements. Our voice is saying, I'm entitled to go for a jog without having my life taken. I'm entitled to drive down the street without somebody pulling me over and giving me the third degree. You know what I mean? Entitled to take my kids to school. I saw a brother pulling something out of his van yesterday, medical equipment, and the cops jacked him up on the side of the road because in their estimation of things, we're always worthy of questioning, a victim. But the point is, the more we give as a part of the solution, playing part of the solution for us, the more we give a visual that we are a people who reveres our own lives as well, in short segments maybe that will earn. And we don't owe nobody nothing, but they're politely sitting back, hiding themselves from the exposure that's necessary to keep us alive. These are things that contribute to our, if that makes sense, our long living and our legacy. That's the word I was looking for, to keep the legacy going for our families, most of all. Does that make sense? I hope I made sense with that.
Yeah, definitely.
Those snapshots,
go ahead.
Those snapshots is what's needed for us, like, you see it from a human capacity now. If I give you part of the commercials that go on at night when people watching television and going on YouTube, you're like, wow, that's a real person right there. So that was my 2 cents. I was just throwing that out there. And that's what's missing. I think we just got to take advantage of what we have to tell our story,
Okay. Carla?
Yeah.
Hold up, Carla. You're Carla going once. There you go. I think. Hold up, Carla going once. There you go.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not sure. I don't know the young lady's name, but And I'm not sure of what the solution is, but I tell you, when I saw the lady walk into, I think it was the Michigan, and Donald and I, we talked about it. The representative who marched, who went into her office with 3 guys with guns as her protectors. Who was that, Donald?
Clarence knows.
Oh, that is one of the representatives at the state capitol.
Okay. When I saw that, I was like, maybe that's what's next. Because sometimes and I'm not an advocate for violence, but sometimes you got to meet people where they are. And I'll just leave that right there.
Well, let me please, can I jump in on this one?
Go ahead, Clarence.
Here's my thing about that. Now, we talked about that last week about them going to the state capitol with the guns and protesting and everything. Okay, now the African American people has just walked a person that's part of the Democratic Party into the state capitol. All right, that's fine. I have no issue with it. But here's where the issue, here's where I do have the issue. So now we have the Democratic Party escorting Democratic people into the state capitol. Now we have Republican Trump promoters protesting. So just like you said, so let's say they meet in the middle. Let's just say they're now both at the state capitol. What happens? What happens once that shot is fired? What happens? Because eventually, this is, I really do feel this is where we're going. It's going to be Democrats against Republicans. And it's basically looking like we about to turn into black versus white. And if that happens, if anybody lets one round go, it doesn't matter which side, everything that we knew, everything that we fought for, everything will change immediately. So it's like a double negative. It's like, what? I get it. You should defend yourself. But in this case, it changes the whole spectrum of life as we know it.
Well, here's something, one of the movies, I mean, it was a good movie, but the message was very strong. I went to, just FYI, I went to a black college in Louisiana. So I lived down south for 5 years, and it was a rude awakening being clearly from the north, and then all of a sudden seeing the south. And so as Clarence and I were preparing for the show, I happened to come across the actual press release that they did in February on this shooting. So I want to read some excerpts from it, so you can kind of see how the reason that this thing went the way that it did. It says, on Sunday, February 23rd, 2020, this was a police officer that said he was responding to a call. Upon my arrival, I observed Officer, I'm not even gonna mention his name, setting up a perimeter. I began speaking with Gregory McMichael, who was a witness to the incident. McMichael stated there have been several break-ins in the neighborhood, and further, the suspect was caught on surveillance video. McMichael stated he was in his front yard and saw the suspect from the break-ins hauling ass, that was his word, hauling ass down the street. McMichael stated he then ran inside his house and called to Travis, his son, and said, "Travis, this guy is running down the street, let's go." McMichael stated he went into his bedroom and grabbed his .357 Magnum, and Travis grabbed his shotgun because they didn't know if the male was armed or not. McMichael stated the other night they saw the same male, and he stuck his hand down his pants, which led them to believe the male was armed. So then McMichael stated that he arrived at the intersection. They saw the unidentified male running down the street, Buford Street. They attempted to cut off the male. McMichael stated that the unidentified male turned around and began running back the direction from which he came. and Roddy, who I guess is the son, attempted to block him, which was unsuccessful. McMichael stated he then jumped into the bed of the truck and he and Travis continued to try to intercept him. And then lastly, McMichael stated they saw the unidentified male and shouted, "Stop, stop, we want to talk to you." McMichael stated they pulled up beside the male and shouted, "Stop" again, at that time, Travis exited the truck with the shotgun. He exited the truck with the shotgun. McMichael stated that the unidentified male began to violently attack Travis, and the two men then started fighting over the shotgun, at which point Travis fired a shot, and then a second later, there was a second shot. McMichael stated the male fell face down on the pavement with his hand under his body. McMichael stated he rolled the man over to see if the male had a weapon. That's the statement that was put out in February. And so this statement is completely, based on the video, completely false. So the question is that how many statements out here are like that? How many situations are out here like that where you got many, many Black men who are in situations where this story is completely wrong. If you've seen the video, this is completely wrong. Who has a comment about that? Is it somebody that saw the video? Who saw the video? Rick Montgomery.
I didn't see the video, and I'm listening to you guys' comments, and it's really interesting. How are you going to stop this? Unfortunately, I think that the only way that you're going to stop it, there are a couple of ways is by standing up. If you don't stand up, and if you don't start sending them to the morgue, this is going to continue. Now, you can say go to the polls, and you can say vote. Okay, we've been going to the polls and we've been voting, and yet we're still dying. We go to the polls and we vote for a congressman, for a senator. We stand up, and yet we gain some laws that are in our favor, but they go right behind that law and rechange that law to water it down. We still have won on a lot of levels, but we are losing, and losing badly. Here we are in one of the worst crises that ever hit the world. And yet we still have racist people out there killing Black people. So we can say that we don't want to march, and because we march, and it just seemed like that our march is not resolving this problem. This is a strong problem that's not only killing Black men, but killing women, our women, and now our children. So I think that the only way, my opinion only, you don't have to agree with me, I think the only way that we are going to make a change is by making a stand, and making that stand regardless. And unfortunately, I may have to go back to some of the old days. Unfortunately, if that stand is, if you're coming for my life and I'm out there, I'm going to have to take yours before I let you take mine. But I think that we're going to have to make the stand to stop them from killing us by sending some of them the same way.
Sonia, what's your thoughts, Sonia?
Well, my thoughts about the situation, I clearly thought about my brother, because he runs throughout the neighborhood. He's about 2 hours from here. And so when he used to go on some of his runs, we would do map my run. That way I know the direction in which he goes, and you get to see the little dot continually moving. So I immediately thought about my brother in this tragedy. Yeah, this is very sad. I'm not sure what we can do to stop the blatant crimes. Yeah, it's a tragedy.
Let me ask everybody this, and I'm pretty sure, and this is kind of an experiment, and I want everybody to participate in this. Is I want everybody to go around and say, in the last 2 weeks, have you experienced any type of racial tension in any capacity? Has anything been a little bit kind of, hey, maybe that might have been something? Who wants to go first? Tracy, you said, I see you driving. You got me unmute
Yeah,
you.
I can go. I
Yeah,
can
go
go.
ahead.
I stopped because I saw a moose, so I stopped. But anyway, I turned the camera, but I didn't want to distract. But anyway, yeah, I will have to say we just experienced one yesterday. We usually have a real mixed variety of people that work in our office. Right now, we have 3 strong Black women that work in our Alaska office, and we had a Caucasian man come in, and he was really upset. He said he didn't get his quote, but really he didn't give us all the information. Then he said, well, I wanted to give you the business. And he said, but do you remember me? I said, no, I don't remember you. He said, my wife applied for a job here. You didn't hire her, but anyway, she got a better job anyway. Low. So my thought was, then why would you want to support me if I didn't hire your wife? And you didn't get the policy when you came in January. But I think he had a problem with, he was very, very nasty, very rude to one of my agents, which happens to be Ty. And we just couldn't figure out why. And then I looked around us. It probably bothered him that he needed us. I didn't need him. He was rude, and we weren't rude back. And to come in and see 3 Black women in the office, and it's my office, I own it. He knew that. And he needed a service.
Hey, the powers to be are trying to silence you, Tracy. the powers to be. Tracy, we can't hear you. Hey, we're gonna go.
The service from us was a struggle.
Okay, that is not. She done faded out too. We're gonna
Ty,
come
you
back.
go ahead.
Yeah, we're gonna come back to Tracy. What about you, Derek, out there in Las Vegas?
Hey, Don.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ty has her hand up. I think she's gonna
Okay,
finish.
Ty, I'm sorry. Yeah, Ty, you go ahead. Where'd she go? There you go, Ty.
Okay, just to finish up what Tracy was saying, he was very disrespectful is what it was. And we do have, like you said, 3 strong Black women in here working and running this corner over here for insurance. And it just reminded me of, you know how you have to go through some things, you have to sit back and reflect on what exactly happened, you know, just replaying in your mind. And literally it was racism is what it was. And like I said, like Tracy said, there's 3 strong Black women in here. And by the time he left, he was fine. But during the whole process of everything, he came in with that sense of urgency, but the urgency of entitlement, just trying to throw us underneath the bus for what we did or did not do. And come to find out he didn't provide all the information that we needed. And so after that happened, I really sat down and reflected about, you know, how all that transpired. And then the only thing I can just think of was, it was just straight up I felt like it was just racist. Besides that being disrespectful, and I know people deal with this on a day-to-day basis, but to have it in right in front of your face, and you need something from me, from our agency, you know, I'm like, you might want to just be a little bit more kinder, you know, be more professional regardless about what you're saying to people, how you're saying to people, because you don't know how people are going to react with what you're saying or how you're saying it, you know? So it was intense in here for a minute, you know, and Tracy, she's a good boss and she takes care of her people, you know? So, and that's what he probably wasn't expecting, was for her to back us up. You know, the fact that she did, because that's just what we do and how we're groomed and how we do things around here. That was the best part of it. Of course, you take bits and pieces from what you gained from that situation, what you learned out of the situation, good non-examples. So that's kind of what happened up in here. And then we had to, like, you know, take care of business and take care of that.
Okay. Let's go to, we want to welcome Kim Herbert. How you doing, Kim? Hold up. There you go. How you doing, Kim?
I'm doing well.
Good, good. Where you watching us from? What city?
Detroit, Michigan.
You're in Detroit. Okay, okay. So, hey, Clarence, you want to share your small story you had earlier?
Sure. So I live in a mixed community. I've always had different neighbors that live next to us. Well, pretty much today, pretty much just in the room, you know, I hear a big boo, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? So my wife comes to me and she's like, you may want to go check the driveway. They're cutting grass by the car. So I'm like, they're cutting grass by the car. Now, this has happened to us numerous of times. Now, they are, you know, Caucasian people that's doing their lawn service, you know, so pretty much I go outside and the guy has a big lawnmower, not the ones that you push, but the ones that you ride on. You ride on it, you ride around the yard, an industrial lawnmower. So he's blowing the grass and the dirt just right on our cars. So I go outside and I'm like, excuse me, you know, could you at least have the courtesy to come maybe knock on the door and say, hey, we getting ready to cut the grass. You know, you may want to move your cars. If you don't, that's totally up to you. Just a simple courtesy knock. Okay. He looks at me. So I pretty much I say, because I don't want rocks and dents in my car, on my car. He looks at me and he says, well, that's why we have insurance. See, the statements like that, it's like you're gonna undermine me after you're wronging me. So, like I told him, I say, listen, man, I'm the one that's gonna have to call the insurance company. I'm the one that's gonna have to deal with getting my car or the cars fixed. You're not gonna come tell me you hit my car with a rock. You're gonna continue cutting this grass and drive off. So you're gonna leave me with the bill. It's not even about having insurance. Like I always say, I'm a big principle person. It's about the principle. It's about doing it the right way. It's not about I have insurance, you have insurance, but why do we even have to go down that route? Why can't you just say, hey, I'm getting ready to cut the grass. You may want to move your vehicles. Enough said. Thank you for letting me know. Let me go move the cars.
So let me ask this question. I went to primarily I went to an all black grammar school, middle school, whatever they call them nowadays. I went to primarily an all white high school, and I went to an all black college. And that gave me a mixture of knowing how to deal with people from the hood to the boardroom. I can wear a suit and tie, or I can have my hat on backwards with an earring in my ear, and I'm very, very comfortable. I think that one of the things that I've learned is that, and I want to know how many people think this, half of the people out here that are prejudiced are just uneducated about the whole process. I'll tell a quick story that happened not recently, but it happened. It's probably one of the most racist things that was ever done to me. I used to work at a company, and we used to have it's about 8 of us that worked on a team, and so we ultimately would sit at a table and chit chat all day. So one day we got into a conversation about race, and we were talking about, I was telling how a lot of times there's stereotypes of African Americans eating fried chicken, eating watermelon, and those are some stereotypes that you have seen over the years. So what I said is, so we had that conversation. So then we go to lunch. Well, when we go to lunch, I come back and on my computer, there is a cutout of a newspaper that, or not a newspaper, they went online and printed it, and they posted it on my computer of a black Sambo. And if any of you that don't know what a black Sambo is, it's the most racist picture visual that you could see. So it was a black Sambo with a bucket of fried chicken and watermelons all around her. And I see Gracie, she knows, she's seen those pictures before. And so first thing I did was I said, I folded that piece of paper up and put it in my pocket. Because my first thought was, I said, well, man, did this guy just give me an opportunity to sue my company? Because, hey, but I said I didn't want to go that route. So I had talked to some people, didn't know what I was going to do, held on to the paper. My supervisor, who actually saw it happen, called me and said, Don, are you all right? And I said, yeah, absolutely. Because I didn't want to let him know what I was thinking. And so what ended up happening was, just to show you how God works, the very next day, I worked in an office with about 200 people. The very next day, me and the guy were the only ones that came to work early. So the guy that put it on my desk sat right in front of me. He came to work, I came. He was there first. I walked in and I said, hey, he said, hey, Don. I said, hey, I'm not gonna mention his name. Hey, and then he said, I know it was a lot of tension. And so then he said, I told him, I said, I'm just going to use, we on Facebook, I'm just going to use the term I told him. I said, you know what you did was fucked up, don't you? And so he said, yeah, Don, I'm so sorry, man. I'm really sorry that I did that. And I said, that was really, I said, now, I'm going to be honest with you. Now, I'm 6'1", he's probably 5'10". I probably got him by 70, 80 pounds. So I said, now, if I was a different type of person, I might want to just kick your ass right now. That's what I told him. I might want to just kick your ass. He said, Don, I know, and I apologize. Now, the light at the end of the tunnel, me and this guy talked about it, and he became, to this day, one of my good friends. This is somebody that became one of my good friends because we talked about it and I educated him on how offensive that was. So for me, a lot of times when you're dealing with racist people, when you're dealing with, I'm not going to just say racist white people, when you're just dealing with racist people, what you have to do is you have to try to educate them sometimes on how we really feel, because sometimes they don't even know. They're learning from their grandparents or their mother, and they're just going with the flow. Hey, this is what it is. And so me educating him about that changed the game. But here's the caveat to the whole story. A couple days after that, one of my other teammates, he said, Don, the guy such and such did put that on your computer, but it was a young black guy that actually pushed him to do it. So it wasn't really him. It was a young black guy that said, hey, I think this would be funny. And so I say that, so I pulled him outside and I said, listen, I'm not your mother, your father, your uncle. I said, but I'm just an older brother talking to a younger brother. What you did was totally wrong because you're black and you basically made a fool of yourself for giving some information to another race to make fun of your own race. It just didn't make any sense. And so I want to just put it out there. I've always been grew up, and I learned this a lot from my father, is I don't ever let the other people in racist situations, for the most part, see that other side of me. because they know how to deal with that. I like to deal with racism with intelligence because I feel like that I can go much more toe to toe with you and you won't even know what hit you. I see you shaking your head, Tracy. Go ahead.
I totally agree with you. I feel like that's how we dealt with the gentleman this week, and that's how I deal with a lot of people. And what ends up happening is the apology comes because they feel so bad after you don't act as ignorant as they are, and ignorant or sometimes uneducated, but whichever. It makes a big difference on how we deal with things. And every time someone has, and I've been in a situation like this, people have come back, they've come back and they've apologized to either me or one of my angels. I call my employees angels, or either one of my angels. So I tell them, don't get upset. Don't show them that. You got to be bigger, and you got to be bigger. It changed the outcome of it. And it does change. Like you said, you developed a really good friendship out of one of these situations. We continue to keep these customers instead of getting all jiggy with them, and then next thing you know, they leave and go to State Farm. Well, they're in good hands with me. So I'm gonna win this. I'm gonna show them that they're wrong by not being as ignorant as they are.
What do you think, Derek? I see you over there.
You know, they've been told that, and they're expecting us to act uncivilized in situations where there's circumstances where, you know, our back's up against the wall, you know, even though they own hypocritical and double standard, that they expect us to abide by these things hand over fist to accommodate their comfort, right? But, and you're right, let me push this door up, sorry, truck just came by. I just gonna say, in your question initially, Don, about being confronted with these situations, I'm on the front line at the airport. If you can imagine what that means, is in a split second, my whole workspace changes because somebody didn't expect to see me before they got there, right? I'm the hospitality guy, sky cap right at the front, okay? But because that person didn't set the expectation, or their experience, they didn't reflect on something that was good in the past, they're not expecting to see the intelligent Derek standing at the curb. When they have an issue with me, like the sister said there, I deal with them in their language, right? And I don't get upset with them. In fact, you get a kick out of this. I say, go inside and see the manager, okay? And then they'll take care of that issue for you. When you meet them, like I was saying earlier, where they're at, typically there's a new level of respect that comes along with that. They're expecting us to act uncivilized, right? That's why I was kind of like, let's show them a different side of us, because otherwise they're going to be always inclined to test us. I've been tested many times, I'm sure all of us have. Where I was working with you, Don, and this is my last comment, I'll make it very short. I was sitting in the meeting room with two guys, they somehow inexperienced but appointed to be over me, like we all be up in these situations sometimes. And they say, you know, you seem a little bit like you're on the edge, like you won't comply with what we're asking you to do. I said, well, I've not been that guy. I'm kind of a leader mentality in a lot of ways. He said, well, I'm not going to ask Dan to take you out back and whip you to get you to do what we, you know.
What?
They feel very comfortable making those statements. That was under Jamal, right?
What?
Who was our brother GM. That's how I got moved out of that department, because I said, no, you're not gonna disregard me like
no. That's
So we have to say, like the brother said, we have to make a firm statement about what we will and will not tolerate. Right. Okay. And a medium that says that's off bounds now. That's out. We got sense enough to say that we're a dignified culture, and we're not going to stand for that. Treat us civilized like you want to be treated. So anyway, but I thought you guys like to hear that.
Yeah.